Hi, I'm Colin Seal, the founder and CEO of thinkLaw, and I am excited that we are ready to dive into session 2 of thinkLaw's Hack-A-Thon for Social Change, the COVID-19 edition. So just to make sure we're in the right place, we just finished going over session 1, where you went through, you did the root cause analysis to why social distancing is so hard, and now you are already at the point where you shared ideas. Hopefully you got your parents to take a picture and tag thinkLaw at thinkLawUS, and you use that hashtag thinkCovid-19, and now we are ready to rock and go into this next piece. Because you've got your idea selected. You went through, you found that favorite root cause that you were going to select. From that root cause, you brainstormed several solutions. You've got that solution, and now we're ready to actually play with that solution. We're going to do this in an interesting way. We're not going to be obsessed with the solution. We're going to be really, really careful about the solution we put out into the world. Because if we want to truly solve a problem, we want to be confident that the solution is actually going to get the job done. So to make sure we've got the right materials, remember, there are some handouts that you can look at as resources for this session. Or you could just use pencil and paper. It doesn't make a big difference, right? We just want to make it easy for you to have the resources you need to be able to complete session 2 effectively. So we're going to flesh out your idea. We want to make sure that this idea that you have to make the world of social distancing, to solve this problem, make it much more easier for families, for young people, for older people to get this thing right. We're going to figure this thing out. We're going to make sure the solution actually works. So here's what you're going to do. We're going to just rewrite that idea. We already selected it. We figured out what it was going to be after doing the root cause analysis. Write down the idea that you developed to help with social distancing. And when we get there, I want to make sure you understand what we're going to do next. As part of the design thinking process, part of what you need to do to make sure you're not so married with a solution that you can't actually see whether or not it's going to be viable is you want to empathize with the people who are impacted with the solution. When I say empathy, it means you have to walk into someone else's shoes, see the world from their eyes. Be very thoughtful and mindful about the way that they experience reality. So it's not just you thinking about your world and your experiences, but you're going to be empathetic. You're going to empathize. That empathy is going to help you to really ensure that you have a clear definition in a way that makes sense to the person that's using it. Part of the process is we think about ideation, right? Ideate, creating ideas. And in many ways, we've already started to get there. We've already started to define, we've come up with a solution, but now that we have it, we want to test it out. So a prototype is a small little piece of a really, really big solution. So if you think about doing a bridge, nobody's going to build a bridge first. They're going to probably build a little model bridge. Before you build a big skyscraper building, you got to make a prototype of it that's a lot smaller to make sure that it all makes sense. And once we get there, we're going to test. And the cool thing about the design process is once we test, we start the cycle all over again. It also happens very often that the design process can start in many different places as well. Doesn't really matter how we look at it. The idea is that we want to make sure we're going through a very thoughtful process to move from problem to solution to actually implementing that solution into a concrete action. So part of this empathy part, is making sure that we understand who our end user is. Who are we asking to buy into the plan? If you think about what you came up with around social distancing, is this more of an issue for members of your community? What members? What does that person want? Let's say we're talking about a student. If we wanted to talk about teenagers and we wanted to get teenagers to buy into the plan. What do teenagers want? Maybe they want to sleep until noon. Maybe they want to stay connected with their friends. Maybe they want to go out to social gatherings and be around folks. What motivates them? I don't know. We got to figure that out. Like, what do you think motivates them? What do you think influences them? Maybe they're really motivated by what other kids are doing. Maybe they're really motivated by the idea to be independent, to be a free thinker, to have choices. I want to go through the process to figure out the who behind my solution. So when you think about your solution, no matter what it is, I want you to be very targeted. Who is the who? Your solution probably isn't for the entire universe of human beings. So be narrow. Be as specific as you can to figure out who it is that you want to buy into this plan that you have, the solution that you have. Figure out what that person wants and what motivates that person. Now, once we go through this, once we think about this design thinking process that started with the empathy piece, we want to ideate. We want to think about, okay, we know the who. What are going to be like the steps to this plan? Like, where am I going to start? How do I come up with a prototype? And by prototype, I mean simple. What's the simplest way to get this thing done? You might not have a whole lot of money sitting around to do this project. Maybe you know how to code, maybe you don't. But I presume you probably won't be able to design a super fancy app to do it. Looking at what you have around you in your home, looking at what you might be able to scrap together between you, your parents, your family, your friends. How can you come up with an actual solution that right now can start to solve this problem? Write out that plan. Once you have that plan, I want you to do something interesting. You ever had a really good idea and somebody told you like, wow, that's your idea? Well, good luck with that. That's never going to happen. Actually, that's one of the dumbest ideas I ever heard in my whole entire life. What kind of person talks like that, right? You have a plan, you have a goal, you have a dream, and they just turn around and kill your dream seconds after you conceive that dream? What kind of person does that? And here's what I want you to do. I actually really want you to become the kind of person that does exactly that. When we start talking about this design thinking process, we need to talk about a process that is called the pre-mortem, which means instead of pretending like all things are going to be cupcakes and rainbows, we're going to presume that I already tried my idea and it failed. This is what they call a pre-mortem. In hospitals, in medicine, they do a post-mortem sometimes when a patient passes away and it's something weird happened and they got to figure out, okay, well, what went wrong? So the doctors can get help in the future and the nurses can know what to do better in the future and the hospital leadership can know what to do better in the future. But you know who it doesn't help? That person who didn't quite make it out of that hospital. We're going to do the same thing with that idea, except we're going to pretend that it already failed. So for this portion of the activity, I want you to assume your idea already didn't make it. Why didn't it make it? Come up with as many reasons as possible that your idea failed. And what you're going to do after that is find a way right now to address those reasons. That's going to do a great job of increasing your likelihood of success. Last but not least, who are you to hold all the solutions? What do you know? Who are you actually designing this for? You're designing it for the person that you put in that empathy map. So here's what I want you to do. We're not playing the game Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but I still want you to phone a friend. What I want you to do is I want you to talk to a friend about the problem you're trying to address. Social distancing. You want to know from at least 2 calls, and by calls, I want to be flexible here. It can be a call. If it is a sibling or a relative that you live with, you can do that. You can do FaceTime on your phone. You could do a Snapchat with somebody. You can message somebody. Doesn't matter. You want to get the feedback about the problem they're trying to solve. Like, what does social distancing mean to them? Why is it hard to them? And what I want you to do is explain your prototype, your idea, your solution. And your solution has already been refined a little bit because you've thought about your pre-mortem, right? You've already killed the idea and come up with all the reasons why it wouldn't work. So you're going to ask them, how do you see yourself using this solution? You explain the prototype and you tell them how would you use this? How would it work? And last but not least, you want to say, you know what? Say you had this solution. How would you know it was working? How would you know that this was actually effective? How would you want to measure the impact, the value of my solution to social distancing? I want you to do that at least in 2 different cycles, talking to 2 different people. And any way you can communicate with them is fine. And once you get there, I want you to make your final adjustments and tweaks based off of their feedback, based off of the pre-mortem. And now you've got an idea that isn't just some pie in the sky thing you dreamed of, but it's something that's been validated by actual users. They've actually tested it out. They've actually said, you know what? I think you've got something there. And just like that, you've become a social changer. Just like that, you become a creator. And here's the cool part. Once we have this final plan out, I want to be really clear with you. You don't have to stop with the question of why is social distancing so hard and coming up with a solution to that. You can think about all different aspects of not just this crisis, but any problem, using the same exact cycle, doing your root cause, coming up with the problem you want to focus on, brainstorming solutions, picking your favorite solution, taking that solution through the design thinking process, doing that empathy map, making sure that you do a pre-mortem so you step back a little bit from your idea, and actually checking with actual potential users of your solution to make sure this is what you need to bring to the world. You write this final plan, and it'll be the first of many times that you can be the change that our world needs. With that said, go out and make it happen. This is your world. We are going to be just here for a little bit, but it's yours. Young people, it is their world. So I want to make sure you can be able to make this happen. And again, as you are doing this, if you want to share your final product with the world, please, please, please tag us on Instagram, tag us on Twitter, use the hashtag thinkCovid-19, tag us at thinkLawUS, and have a lot of fun with this. And again, don't stop here. If you want to talk about how you can make the elderly and people who are immunocompromised and can't go outside for really any reason, how do you make them feel connected during this time of self-quarantine and isolation? How do you do that? How might you help your schools figure out effective ways to do distance learning? These are all things that you have so much creative ideas for, but nobody's asking you. Don't wait for them to ask you. You've got this. You've got the power. It's time to show the world how powerful you are. Thank you so much for participating in a Hack-A-Thon for Social Change. And please, please, please do follow us and find more resources that are free and easy to use on our Teachers Pay Teachers store that have a lot of critical thinking to go with it. And for more information, please check out our website at www.thinklaw.us. Thank you so much, and keep on innovating.